have to lay to rest the Dallas Mavericks, who, let's keep it a buck, a lot of us on this show and on the other show under this network potentially had the Dallas Mavericks as an NBA Finals team prior to this season starting.
I don't know about the NBA.
He's not on this podcast. He knows what I'm talking about because he raved about them potentially being a NBA Finals team, which in theory is right because of how Dallas played at the time. The loss of Jalen Brunson, which we thought wasn't going to be much, ended up being huge for Dallas. And now with everything that's come out with Mark Cuban, I'm convinced that he was trying to lowball Jalen Brunson on the deal. Because why are you coming out blaming his parents for basically wanting him to get paid when he should have been getting paid? Jason Kidd has shown time and time again that he's much better off as an assistant coach, more so than a head coach. I don't think he's the guy for the job. Luka has complained and has said that he's needed help and has needed some help there. You basically gut your depth for a rental for Kyrie Irving, which has all in all failed, and I hate that they're blaming him for it, which he shouldn't get the blame because all he did was he wanted out of Brooklyn. He came to Dallas. He played, did what he did. It just didn't work out. But lastly, man, I just got to be honest. When are we going to start holding Luka Doncic accountable for some of this stuff? Because as well as he plays, as great as he plays, it's not translating to wins like everyone think that it should be. And we've seen this story before with Luka Doncic in the name of James Harden, who was putting up godlike numbers for the Houston Rockets, but it wasn't until Chris Paul got there where they got close to potentially going to the finals. They ran into the Warriors, a la what Dallas did last season. But, yeah, it's like, when is Luka going to start taking this seriously? Like, when is he going to hold himself accountable? When is he going to come out and start making his teammates better? There's often too many times coming into the season where he's out of shape. He has to play himself back into shape. And then once he gets it going, he gets it going. And then once the playoffs come, or in this case, towards the end of the season comes, they kind of just fall off a cliff. Maybe what Took mentioned earlier coming into the season, maybe have taken an effect. Luka's playing all these minutes because you got to remember, just at the end of last season, if I'm not mistaken, he was playing with FIBA, and he had to he came into this season again out of shape. So at some point,
I went out of shape. It's too much playing time.
But even then, he still came in out of shape. And yeah, that's exactly what he is, Ryan. He's a Slovenian James Harden right now. And I don't like the fact that he's getting the pass for everything that's going on, because he is just as responsible as all the other parties involved. He's just as responsible as Mark Cuban. He's just as responsible as Jason Kidd. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do in the offseason, because they literally just said, okay, we're not making the playoffs. We're just going to tank and just hope for a high draft pick, which I don't think you're going to get a high draft pick at this point, because I think at this point it's top 4. I think it's either top 4 or your pick goes to the Knicks. So Dallas is kind of behind the 8 ball right now, and we all know Luka's not happy, so Luka's going to try to look to go elsewhere. So yeah, with that being said, man, rest in peace to the Dallas Mavericks. We knew thee well, but like I said with the Atlanta Hawks, now may be time to getting close to that reset button. You might have to hit that reset button.
Yeah, I saw the pick is I think it's top 10, because that's why they rested everybody last night.
Oh, it's top 10 or it goes to the Knicks. That's even worse.
That's why they rested everybody last night to lose on purpose to get top 10 odds, which is yeah. Shout out to my guy Anthony saying on Twitter, he putting up all the receipts with the Mavericks fans who said they wanted to see the Grizzlies in the first round. The Grizzlies still have number 2 seed, by the way, and Dallas, number 11. That 2-11 matchup would have been nice, but maybe next year.
I was about to say, to Trevor's point, I'm gonna make this real quick. Mark Cuban I feel like he's a huge reason as to why the team went from, they were top 5 seed before, by the trade deadline,
They were fourth.
Went from that to tanking, like immediately. So I think Mark Cuban, he needs to own a lot of that because no shade to Kyrie. Kyrie is a great player, but outside of when he was with LeBron, Kyrie has just not worked out well with anybody. Just look at where he's been at since then. But Dallas's huge problem was they could not defend and they could not rebound. If you could not defend and you could not rebound, I don't care what level you're playing basketball, you will not win games. That's why they were the 11th seed.
I can't wait to dive more into the Dallas Mavericks on Three the Hardaway because I somewhat disagree with everything y'all just said. And I know we don't have the time to go about it, but if you look at it, because I talk about Luka on Three the Hardaway because I strongly disagree with everything you just said about Luka, Trevor, but we'll talk about that one. But as far as Mark Cuban goes, for one, Jalen Brunson's family is already in New York. So people blaming Mark Cuban for why Jalen Brunson left, he was going to leave anyway, in my opinion. For number two, I think that because of his absence, you have to be able to provide another punch. Especially if it's this season. Trevor, you said that, Luka doing what he does on the equate to wins, but they was just in the Western Conference Finals last year. So for them, I think you got in my opinion, you've had a better roster than last season. They weren't able to put it together. So I think a lot of this goes more so on the coach than Mark Cuban or anybody else. And that's for two. For three, you got Luka, Kyrie, and those are your only guards. You don't have any kind of pure point guard kind of way. Like you traded Spencer and you traded Jalen Brunson, which are pure point guards, in my opinion, even though Brunson can put the ball in the hole. So that kind of hurt as well. But we can't sit up here and blame Mark Cuban for everything when he done everything he could to try to help this team. And
struck out every time he did it.
Hold on. I appreciate your little soliloquy there too, but you did kind of just contradict yourself there. Yeah, the Dallas Mavericks were in the Western Conference Finals last year, but who was there? Jalen Brunson. So, again, if you saw what the potential could have been with a Jalen Brunson, Luka Doncic.
Well, my thing is, you finna blame Mark Cuban as to why he left,
because really, he was finna lowball him on a deal.
It don't matter. His family was in New York. His dad is on the roster team, bro. He was finna lowball.
He also could have been signed Jalen Brunson before.
Yeah, he could have.
It shouldn't got to the last offseason.
He should have been. He was finna lowball him on the deal.
Yeah,
dude was out.
I'm telling you,
it goes back to Mark Cuban. If he signed him,
you're right. He had the opportunity to re-sign Jalen Brunson, and he chose not to. And when it came too late, he was going to lowball him on the deal. That's why he's blaming Jalen Brunson's parents. Jalen Brunson's parents already knew what was up. They was like, "Oh,
yeah." Everybody knew what was up. He was coming to New York regardless. Maybe it
was because Mark Cuban wasn't going to pay him. That's what we try to get you to say. I guarantee you, if Jalen Brunson had the deal that he got with New York, that he got in Dallas, bro would still be a Dallas Maverick right about now.
And even that deal was a gamble for New York. Like Jalen Brunson had one good season, and that was in the playoffs. I'm not going to pay max money for a playoff. I've only seen
if you don't want to pay max money, don't pay max money. I guarantee that's New York taking a huge risk on them. And look where it is now.
If I'm Mark Cuban, I'm not
taking
it's
paid off for him.
It's
paid off for, and then you even got your star player even saying, "I miss Jalen Brunson." Your star player is your star player.
At the same time, max money. New York money versus that was a huge gamble on New York part. If you know how Mark Cuban, like, come on, man, like
I agree. I agree. It was a huge gamble, but you had the opportunity to lock him up, but you chose not to. So
I'm happy he did. Honestly,
thank you, Ryan. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm
thank you, Ryan.
Even if you think about it, even if you say letting Jalen Brunson go was the wrong decision. Again, only focusing on this year, they were a top 4 seed prior to the trade. Stay packed. You didn't even need to make the trade. Yeah, I get what he was trying to do. I get what Mark Cuban was trying to do. I just thought as if the move was unnecessary. If you wanted to make changes to the team, there were other ways to go about it. You made the trade for Kyrie. Granted, it was box office. You probably sold more tickets than you probably did. But at the end of the day, you didn't do anything else outside of that trade to make your defense better, and you did not have a big man. That Christian Wood trade or that signing of Christian Wood didn't look that good either because he's a good player. But
that's the coaching problem. That's the coaching problem, in my opinion.
I'll take that.
Yeah,
I'll take that.
now
And it's a coaching
there.
problem for
That's
me
a
to
coaching
have to
problem.
watch Mavs games, and we can definitely move on next subject. But literally 2 games in a row, I'm literally seeing Kyrie Irving just stand in the corner for the last 2 minutes. Didn't touch the ball. That's a coaching problem. Is my thing. We can't.
And
We can't.
Christian Wood, who for all intents and purposes, who's okay, he wasn't getting as much playing time as I felt he should have been getting with Dallas as well. So yeah, everybody's responsible.
Why
I
JaVale
agree.
McGee playing? Why ain't JaVale McGee playing?
Yeah. All right, that's it. But my brother was right. I'm right. We're just gonna keep it moving.
Hey, also, what's the? I'm not saying Luka is better than Trae Young, but it's like they're doing the same thing. Trae Young with these conference finals the next year. He actually got to play in next year. He barely. But he got in. Luka
Barely.
West Conference Finals. But he did.
Remember,
Like Luka not making the play again. The next year.
remember when everyone was getting on Memphis for not taking either one of those and taking Jaren? Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Who?
Pepperidge Farm. But come on now.
That was me.
Cookies.